guys, Transforce96 here with another video review. This time we have the Captain America the Winter Soldier Hot Toys Falcon. So yeah, so going over the box really quick, as you can see, standard, shoebox type of style of box, and pretty nice. I do like the overall design on the front of it. You get a nice picture of Falcon. This is not the Hot Toys one. It is just a picture of the actual Falcon character. Although it's not the typical one that you see. I don't really remember this specific shot on posters or stuff like that. So it is a nice, kind of refreshing shot, which is very cool. And then I do like the gray, but it's got a little bluish tint to it background there, and the kind of honeycombed effect, looking very nice. The box design itself is nothing too special, but the artwork on it is quite nice. And yeah, and it is a standard size box, although he does come with rather large wings and a big base. It didn't affect the box size very much. It's basically a standard size box, maybe slightly thicker than your average one, but pretty average in size. So yeah, so let's go over the figure and what he comes with. Alright, so here we have the Falcon out of package, but before we go into the actual figure, let's go over his accessories. Alright, so he comes with a total of 8 hands, 4 for each arm. As you can see, he really just comes with the essentials though. Although he's got 8, it's a pretty good amount, but most of them are pretty necessary. So as you can see, you get 2 fists, 2 hands that are meant for holding the poles on his wings, 2 relaxed palms, and then 2 trigger hands meant for holding his weapons, of course. Going over the actual sculpt of the hands. It's quite good. Get it to focus. There we go. As you can see, the glove is sculpted really nicely, and the fingers. Oh, I never noticed that. Just, it's so small that you would never notice it just in person, but, with the camera up close like this, he does have some black on that finger. That's not good. But very minor, of course. I would have never saw it if I didn't have it up by the camera. So yeah, overall, pretty essential hands. Now, what I would have liked to see him come with are 2 hands that, I don't know what you call these, I guess saluting hands, just hands that are completely extended like this. I think that those hands really just go well with flying figures. Ever since I got the Marvel Universe Angel figure, and he had one hand like that, it makes posing them really good, just to have him almost like he's cutting through the air with his hand type of thing, or very stealth kind of, flying fast type of look, as well as he is a military man, so having a saluting hand, just using it as a salute too, that would work great as well. So I would have liked to see him come with that. Obviously that's not a huge complaint, because I can't say I saw any particular time in the movie where he did have that, but I think that would be a welcome hand. Also some spread hands would be kind of nice. Again, not 100% necessary, because we need mostly flying hands, and the spread kind of open hands wouldn't work fantastic unless you have him like fighting somebody or coming at somebody type of thing. So he comes with definitely the essentials. We didn't get gypped with the hands or anything like that. We got what we needed, but there was definitely a few different hands that I think that they could have added with this that would have just enhanced the figure and just made it more fun. So yeah, so overall decent amount of hands, but they could have done some more. As far as weapons go, the Falcon includes these. He has 2, I don't know what you call these, kind of Uzis almost, or just kind of rapid fire pistols. As you can see, they're very cool. I'm sure that they are based on some type of real gun, although they're very unique. I haven't seen anything like them just in anywhere, so I don't quite know what type of guns those are, but I'm not a big gun person, so I probably wouldn't know. I'm not quite sure if the magazine comes out. I don't think it does, but it is possible. He does also come with 2 extra wrist kind of gauntlets that are meant for holding the guns, because of course in the movie his guns are on his wrist and then they slide up and he catches them. Although when he's not flying, I don't think that you can, when he's not using the weapons, I don't think that you can actually see them on his wrist anyway. I might be wrong on that though, but they just simply plug into the little plug on there, and there you go. You can just attach it to his wrist and have it like he's about to catch the guns, because they do rotate on there too, so you can move them forward or back. I find those a little unnecessary. I can't imagine anybody displaying him with those on his wrist, because if you're gonna have big guns covering his hands, why not just put them in his hands anyway? So I don't really see how those are so necessary. I could have been fine without those, and I wouldn't have complained about it or anything. Overall, the guns themselves look quite nice. They do look pretty cool, and they're small, they don't get in the way, and he holds them very well in his trigger fingers. You also get an extra set of wrist pegs as well as an extra side backpack piece to insert into the side of the backpack when the wings are not in it. These are supposed to be kind of the folded up wings in the side of the backpack there. So overall very nice and needed accessories. You also get a flight stand. As you can see, it is that almost diamond-shaped flight stand that we've seemed to get since we got the first Superman. So yeah, so sometimes I feel like this base is a little overused. Sometimes it comes with figures that yes can fly but don't really need it. And of course, this is obviously not one of those cases. Falcon is 100% one of those characters that needs a flying base. So I am very happy to get for this one. And I do like the actual design that they have on top of the actual base. Back when this figure first went on pre-order, I don't think I ever liked it too much, but seeing it in person, it's pretty nice. You know, just seeing the picture of it, I thought, you know, it just kind of looked like a cheap sticker that was on top of the base. And in person, it's got a little bit more detail than what comes across on the picture. So overall, it is quite nice. It is basically the top of a helicarrier, you know, a strategic top of the helicarrier where there is a nice large shield symbol, which I think is quite nice. And then, of course, you get a nice chrome, you know, kind of like metal nameplate that says Captain America the Winter Soldier Falcon. I believe, yeah, it's sculpted in there so you can like feel the detail on that, which is quite nice. He comes with a flight pole. The flight pole is a little longer than your average one. Typically it's about the same size as the ones that come with these diamond shaped bases, but it is longer than the ones that come with the Iron Legion figures. And just so you know, if you want him to fit in a D12 cabinet, this is how I keep mine. This much bent. And this holds him in the D12 cabinet and holds him nicely. So you will have to bend yours considerably to fit it in that type of cabinet if you do want him displayed in there. Overall, quite a nice base. Definitely needed. I always hope that they do give us a flight stand with a normal standard base along with it. I would have liked to see that in this case, but it's a little less of an annoyance because I can't imagine many people not displaying Falcon flying. I mean, it's something that you got to do. So I am not so disappointed that he doesn't come with a regular base on top of the flying base. Alright, so now going over the actual figure, let's start it off with the actual face sculpt. As you can see, looking quite good there. It is, of course, Anthony Mackie, as he appeared in the Captain America the Winter Soldier film. As you can see, looking quite nice. Really do like it. I feel like from the side angles, he looks a lot better. Like straight on, he looks good. He certainly does. But from the side, it really looks like a Mackie there. So really do like that a lot. I think that they did it incredibly well. I don't have too many. I don't think I have a complaint about the head, to be quite honest. It's the type of head that when they do another Falcon, because you know they eventually will, probably for Civil War. But when they do the next one, I feel like I won't be surprised if that one is improved. But that being said, right now I don't have any specific complaints. I think it is pretty perfect. And of course the next one will update it, make it look slightly more realistic. But it's still, at the moment, it is quite realistic and looks just fantastic. I really do love it. I almost don't like displaying him with the goggles because it takes away from the good head sculpt. So that just goes to show you how much I like it, because I love him with the goggles on. So I really do like the head sculpt a lot. I think it looks a lot like Anthony Mackie, and Anthony Mackie I thought was a perfect Falcon. Really, he seems like a good guy. You know, if you've seen the blooper. A reel, or not the blooper, but one of the extra scenes, behind the scenes videos from Captain America the Winter Soldier. There's one called Cut the Check, and it's quite funny. It's all about Anthony Mackie. It's very good. So yeah, overall I think the face sculpt is pretty spot on, looking quite great there, and definitely recognizable as Anthony Mackie. Alright, so now to go over his actual outfit there. As you can see, looking quite good. It looks like he does have an undershirt on underneath all of this, which you can see the sleeves of on the shoulders there. But then he does have a kind of militaristic vest on top of it, and then he has buckles and is more, you know, kind of armor to secure the backpack in place. As you can see, lots of good detail there. And there's the backpack. Very cool looking. I like this a lot. And it does have a light up function, which I will show you shortly. looking very cool. One thing that I was worried about just from seeing pictures, I thought that that the shoulder pads would be somehow connected to the top of the armors up here, or just some other piece of the clothing, and they're not. They're strapped on to the biceps, so it doesn't hinder articulation at all, which is really great. I really do love that a lot. And this is a functioning zipper down the middle there. I like the nice gold details. Looking very nice, painted all very well. We keep going down, and we get to his pants here and his belt. As you can see, he is wearing kind of camouflage pants there. Looking really good. You got a nice American flag there. You get some yellow detail, which I think looks good. The upside down triangle is painted very well. From the back, it's just more of his pants. And then he does have straps that go along the back of his legs or his thighs, which I think looks really cool. From the front, you can't see the straps really at all. I will say that he has quite baggy pants. Now, I'm not quite sure what I don't like about it, because, you know, I'm not saying that his pants should be skin tight or anything, but they do seem to be rather more baggy than I would have expected, at least. And it gives him a weird look when he's not flying around. Maybe it's just that his legs are just too far apart or something. There's just something that I don't like about it. I think that possibly there's more slack in the crotch section than I would have liked on this figure, because it gives him a very weird type of a look sometimes when he's just standing. Now when he's flying around, or he has his legs up or something like that, when he's in some type of pose that's not affected by it, possibly they left some more slack there so that he can actually have his legs move forward and stuff, and that his pants wouldn't be hindering him, because I have to say they really don't. They're quite the opposite of the Winter Soldier, as they really don't get in the way, which is really wonderful, and I'm very happy about that. So possibly that's why I'm not liking it too much, because they did give him too much slack there so that he could pose better. And if that's the case, then that's a fine trade-off. I understand and respect that, because I am very happy with the articulation. He does have the knee pads. A lot of people complaining that the knee pads are too low and they should be up more towards the knee. Obviously, if they did that though, the hinge on the knee wouldn't be as good as it is. So I can't say that I am disappointed that they put them down low. And it's something that I don't really notice, but it does seem to bother a lot of people. Personally, it doesn't bother me very much. And he's got some pretty nice boots there. It does look like the straps aren't just sculpted on. They are actual straps just glued on. It's hard to tell, but they do certainly feel like it, so it does look very nice. And he does have a little ankle articulation there, even though he has boots on, which is cool. Then in the back, he does have like these little armor plates that seem to be glued onto the boot, but they do have straps that go just before the knee guards. So overall, the costume is very nice. I mean, at first glance, it's relatively simple, being that it's, you know, not bright blue and red and white, and not a crazy, you know, skin-tight superhero costume, obviously. But when you actually go into the actual detail of the costume, it is quite intricate and very cool and very realistic as well. So I am very happy with how the costume turned out. Looks quite wonderful. Alright, so now to talk about the wings. As you can see, this is definitely going to be the biggest feature of the figure. Obviously, it's something like we've really never seen. I can't think of another figure that Hot Toys has done that had wings that were so prominent like this. So obviously, this is definitely going to be the seller of the figure, is the wings, and which is really nice. You know, sometimes I get a Hot Toys figure and I'm like, I just spent $250 on this, and it's really not too new, you know, it's just the same old. Obviously, it's detailed very nicely and everything, but I'm going to put it on my shelf and I'm not going to really pose it much, and that's always very disappointing. So when I get a figure that's very different and unique and fun, I'm really happy, and it makes me feel like I got my money's worth. And with this one, that is the case. I definitely feel like this is very fun, and would definitely give Igor a run for his money when you're considering price, obviously. I think I might enjoy this one more than Igor for the price that he is compared to Igor. So yeah, so he might make it above Igor in my top 10 video, or my top Hot Toys video at the end of the year. As you can see, the wings are looking great. On the back, he does have the red highlights, which are very nice and very accurate, as well as the backpack. Right after this, I will show you the light up gimmick on that backpack. As you can see, the wings are really nice, and just from a shot like this, you really can't tell where the breaks are of where his articulation comes in place on the wings. So I do think that is a very clever thing that they did, and it's just very nice. they just look really good. At the bottom here, it is a little translucent. You can see my hand behind there, just on the bottom section of the wing right there, which is quite nice. It's not like overly done, so you can't like see the wall behind it. But if you do have something behind it that's colorful or something, you will get a slight shadow of it in the wings, which is quite nice, and it gives it more depth and just a little more interesting. It does have some articulation, like I said. This is kind of in its medium position. It's got 2 hinges on either side, so if you want, you can have it completely extended out like this, which is pretty neat. I don't like that too much. I just think it looks a little too cheesy, you know, just with wings completely straight out. Just doesn't look great. My personal favorite position is this one, just where the top hinge is down. I think that looks quite nice, because then it gives his wings slightly more down off of appearance, but keeps them in a very straight kind of angle. Now there is another hinge, of course, and then you can position this down. Now this, I still like this. When I first saw pictures of this, I thought, oh, I don't like that at all. I'm never going to display them like that. But I actually do like it when it is hinged down like that. I think it looks pretty cool. And when you have him flying in a pose, when that's tilted down, it just makes it look like he's going faster, which is, maybe it's just me, but it feels like he's, you know, really trying to pick up speed and not coasting so much. So I do like the wings being down. Now, I'm glad that the wings do have articulation, but I am not happy with the amount of articulation that they have. I think that those 2 hinges are really not all that's necessary. I would have liked the hinge that allowed you to bring it forward, so it was pointed more forward, as well as I would have liked just an extra pair that could flap up, because a lot of times when he's landing, the wings are curved all the way up, which I think looks quite nice, and this one isn't able to pull that off, of course. And you know, I think that we should have gotten an extra pair of wings, maybe just that had no articulation, but that were just curved up like that. Also because they must know that a lot of people that own this guy have the detail cabinet and want to display him in one of those, and because of that, these wings really don't fit in, and I will go over that in more detail in a second here. But so I would have liked to see them include more posed wings or something like that. Now, of course, I'd be fine if they brought the price up a bit for including more posed wings, but that's something that I think would be completely necessary that they didn't include, which is quite a shame. So overall, I really do like the design of the wings though, and I'm glad they do have some articulation. It would have been a lot cooler if they had more articulation, or if we got more wings that were posed in positions that he had in the movie. I think that would have definitely been necessary. As you know, as well as just like a couple hinges that could curve up, you know, that would be kind of nice, because you know, there is the shot where he is falling after the Winter Soldier rips off one of his wings. So I'd love to display him with one of the wings off and then the one that's curved up like he's falling down. That would have been really cool. So that's not 100% necessary, but that would have been really cool. So I do think that there are definitely a lot more positions, or a lot more things they could have done with these wings than they actually did. That being said, they are very nice though. Now, for anybody who has a D12 cabinet, in this next segment I will be showing you how I display him in the D12 cabinet, and really what your options are for that, because most people display their Hot Toys in those cabinets. So yeah, so I figured that it would be good to talk about that. So I'm going to do that, then I'm going to come back and do the lights and articulation. So here's the Falcon displayed in the D12 cabinet with his wings on, and so there's really 2 ways that you can go about this if you want him in a D12 cabinet with his wings on. And one way is to actually have them connected to the backpack, folded as far down as they can go, and then just have him completely sideways. Now he will be touching the corner, you know, of your D12 cabinet to this corner, pretty much completely. So he looks a little odd standing sideways if you don't have a lot of your figures standing sideways, which I'm assuming most don't, and as well as it's hard to fit a figure behind him that would make sense and go with Falcon, but that would be tall enough that you could see him over his wings and stuff. So that is one option to go about it. If you happen to have a good figure to put behind him that goes with him, then sure, it'll work. But it's definitely something that I did not like. Plus, I wanted him to be flying, and so yeah. So now this is how you can have him flying with the wings on. Now the wings are not connected to the back of his backpack. All it is just he's holding his wings by the handles there. He has his hands that are his holding hands, and he's just holding the handles. That's basically what's supporting it. Obviously they are pointed down a bit, and then they're in a position right now so that I can have the Winter Soldier and Captain America in front of him too. And then just, for a little extra security, I do have them kind of leaned up or positioned up against something else behind him, just so that they don't move around or so that the hands aren't taking all of the weight of the wing. So just like on the back here for this wing right here, the back of that wing is just kind of resting on this little piece from the clamp of the flight stand, and then the other one, there's a little cap right here. So I just have one of his fists actually up against the cap and up against the other wing, just as a little extra support there. It's not 100% necessary to do that, just it is nice so that the back of his wings are supported a bit so that they're pointed more in the direction that you want them to be in. I like this a lot. Now you might not like it because the wings are kind of shot down, but I think it looks fine. I mean, this is kind of like a taking off from flight where his wings would be as far down as they can go, trying to get up altitude, trying to get his altitude up, and then he would spread his wings to just coast. So I think it looks quite nice, and I'll show you right now what it looks like with a few other figures in the cube. Alright, so there you can see you can fit a figure like Captain America and Winter Soldier with him, and of course he is on his base. You can use a Stark base or one of the flight bases that's a little smaller than that large one, but you can still use the large one, fit him in properly, and have the others, as well as he doesn't hit the roof. Obviously you have to bend the pole so that the pole is considerably bent and not just straight up, obviously to get him to be able to fit in there height-wise, but you can do it. It's quite easy and looks pretty good. So I just wanted to show you this because I think a lot of people that collect Hot Toys use the D12 cabinet, so this is helpful information. So there you go. Alright, so he does have a light up function, which is really cool. Now this is something, some figures from Hot Toys need lights, the Iron Man figures, of course, they need lights, things like that. This guy is one that if he didn't include lights, I wouldn't be shocked. But, I would have probably mentioned that I wish that he had lights in the review. But considering they did give it to us, it's very nice, although not 100% necessary, but still cool. So it's very easy to turn them on. That's another thing I like. Sometimes it's just a bitch to get to the switches on these guys, and it just makes turning the lights on just not fun because it's such a pain to do it. In this case, it's definitely not the case. It's just this little notch up here. You just slide it right off. It's on a little magnet and it just comes right off. And then you've got the switch underneath. You can switch it on, turn off these lights so you can actually see it. As you can see, it does look really cool. He has lights that come down here, here, and down there. Overall, they're not like incredibly bright or anything, but they are still nice. Going from a lower angle so you can appreciate them a bit more. As you can see, they're a little brighter that way. It does look pretty cool, and if you do go down, you will see that it does create a light at on the table there. So I mean, the light kind of goes far, but it's not super bright. Overall, it's pretty neat. I don't think that it's anything too amazing, especially since the lights should be red. In the movie, they are red, so they should be red, and of course they are yellow here. I mean, you could even make a case that in the movie they're dark orange, but these aren't even orange, so it doesn't matter. So overall, lights are nice, unnecessary, and not quite accurate though. So just I'm not saying that Hot Toys did something wrong with these lights. It's just it's not 100% necessary to have them in general. But overall, it is always nice to get extra functions and features on the figures, though. So overall, I do like the lights a lot, and not necessary, but happy they included them. Alright, so one of the main things that concerned me about this figure was articulation, because of course, a flying figure is really cool, but without being able to properly pose them in a flight stance, it really doesn't do much. And I was concerned with this guy. I definitely wanted to have his arms up a lot, so I was worried about the shoulders, I was worried about how restrictive the pants would be, and the fact that the boots were really just all one piece, and didn't look like there was much ankle there, so there were a lot of stuff that worried me. Luckily, getting in person, really pretty great on articulation. I have to say, very few places is it hindered, which is awesome. So starting off with the head, and I'm not going to really be touching this guy too much during this articulation. I'm really just going to be telling you the articulation. But with the head, I felt it necessary to actually do. The head articulation is great. First of all, he can look up way far. So you can actually get him in a flying upward pose, or just like flying towards you pose, where he's like looking where he's going, which is really cool. He can obviously be straight, side to side very well, and then he can look down incredibly far. So you can get him where he is taking off, looking back down, shooting at somebody when he's like almost in a laying down position, which is really awesome, and I'm very happy about that. Something that I was not expecting. I didn't expect the head articulation to be as good as it is by a mile. He has a joint in the lower neck and upper neck, which definitely helps. The shoulders, not hindered by the t-shirt. Really very happy about this. It's something that I definitely thought was going to be a problem. Like I said when I talked about the costume, I thought the armor bits on the shoulders would hinder him, and they don't. And the shirt itself is a very thin, pliable material that can be moved very easily. So you can put his arms in a position where they are completely pointed up almost, it really just, he isn't hindered by the shoulders, which is just great. He has hinge swivel shoulder, or hinge swivel elbows. Now this is something that I would have preferred double hinge, but I don't know why. For this guy, I don't mind it at all. And maybe it's just because he's a flying figure, I don't feel the need to double joint his elbows because his arms are usually extended flying somehow. So maybe that's just why it doesn't bother me, but the hinge swivel on the elbows don't bother me. Typically I would like a double hinge, but in this case I find it fine to be hinge swivel. The wrists are a little hindered just based on the fact that he's wearing gloves, but you can still get a little hinge in there. Of course, they do swivel very easily, though. The only place that he's really hindered is his chest. I really can't see much articulation in the chest, waist, or anything like that. But it's really not a big deal because you don't need his body twisted up, considering he's got wings. So he wouldn't typically have his torso lifted or anything like that, so it really doesn't matter. The thighs are, like I said when I talked about the costume, not hindered. Very surprisingly, you can get a very nice bend on them. You don't have to worry about like possibly tearing the shorts or anything like that. They are completely sturdy, and it's just because they're quite baggy. And like I said, it makes him look a little awkward when he's just standing up, but in a fight position he can pull off the extravagant leg pose as well as not hinder or not damage the material at all, which is great. Double hinge knees, not hindered at all. And then his ankles are you got a little bit of a movement because just it's a little loose inside of his ankle joint, so you can move them around a little bit. Other than that, though, there's not much articulation. So overall, articulation is really great. The only place that it's hindered is the torso, which is really not necessary to have. And then his ankles are a little hindered, which again isn't super necessary to have. Would have been nice, but it's not necessary. But all the other articulation is great and works really well, so that is one more reason why I truly love this figure. So yeah. So overall, I truly love this Falcon figure. I think that he's a ton of fun with really not restrictive articulation, which is wonderful, with some wings that you can do a lot of fun stuff with lights, a nice flight stand, and a decent amount of interchangeable hands, as well as a couple weapons to keep them interesting and fresh. So you can always do something different with him. And then he looks really cool in a lot of positions. And like I said, one of the main and important things about this figure is the fact that he's really not hindered in articulation very much at all. You can do a lot of fun stuff with him, and he's been quite a fun figure. Definitely well worth having. I think character-wise is really great as well. This is a character that wasn't just in one movie and that's it. He's going to be appearing in many more movies. He is listed as Anthony Mackie is going to be in Avengers: Age of Ultron. Nobody knows how much of a role he'll play in it, but he will be in Avengers 2. He's going to be in Civil War, and most likely he'll be in Infinity Wars. So no matter what, we're going to keep seeing this character, and I think that he's going to become quite a familiar face to most. Very excited to get this figure, and it is definitely a great figure that represents the great character. So would highly recommend it to anybody who is a fan of Falcon, especially Falcon, but anybody that's just a fan of Captain America or Marvel movies in general. I think this guy is great, and he just looks fantastic with your Captain America. He looks great fighting your Winter Soldier, and as soon as we see him interact with more Marvel characters, it will be awesome to pose this figure up with the other Iron Man character, or sorry, with the other Marvel characters that he will interact with in future films. A must-have for me. I would highly recommend it to all. Definitely worth the money. He's like $240, $250, something like that. And that's well worth it considering you get the large wings, the large base as well, and just a really nice figure. So would definitely highly recommend this one, and definitely a great figure. The one thing I forgot to mention, and I just really quickly wanted to come here at the end and say it, is that on his costume, I should have mentioned this and I totally forgot, but the pants area, there's quite a few kind of loose threads. Now it's not, it doesn't look like that they've torn them or anything. It just looks like they didn't get cut at the factory. So it's just a little bit of annoyance, but as far as I can see, it's not a quality issue. It really doesn't impede the figure at all. It just is more of an annoyance factor. So I thought that would be worth mentioning, that I did forget to mention. So yeah, there you go. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.